What if everything you know about beginnings, about family, about faith, and about human nature could be traced back to one ancient book? Genesis isn't just the first book of the Bible. It's the foundation of everything that follows, the grand opening act of the greatest story ever told. The word Genesis means beginning, and that's exactly where we start. In the beginning, God creates the heavens and the earth. Darkness covers everything until God speaks light into existence. With divine words, he separates day from night, sky from sea, land from water. He fills the earth with vegetation, sets celestial bodies in motion, and populates the seas and skies with creatures. On the sixth day, God creates humanity in his own image, male and female, and gives them dominion over all creation. Genesis chapter 1 verse 31 tells us that God sees everything he made, and behold, it was very good. On the seventh day, God rests, establishing a pattern of work and rest that echoes through human history. But Genesis quickly moves from cosmic creation to intimate relationship. God places Adam in the Garden of Eden, a paradise where he walks with God in the cool of the day. Recognizing that it's not good for man to be alone, God creates Eve from Adam's rib, establishing the first marriage. They live in perfect harmony with God, each other, and creation itself, with only one restriction: they must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Then comes the serpent, crafty and cunning, who questions God's command. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? Eve explains the restriction, but the serpent plants seeds of doubt. You will not certainly die, he promises. Your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. The temptation proves irresistible. Eve takes the fruit, eats it, and gives some to Adam. Their eyes are opened, but not to divine wisdom. Instead, they discover shame, fear, and separation from God. When God comes walking in the garden, Adam and Eve hide. "Where are you?" God calls out, not because he doesn't know, but because he wants them to acknowledge what they've done. The consequences are severe. Pain enters childbirth, work becomes toil, and death becomes humanity's inevitable fate. God drives them from Eden, placing cherubim with flaming swords to guard the way back to the tree of life. Paradise is lost, but God's story with humanity is just beginning. The next generation brings the first murder. Cain and Abel, sons of Adam and Eve, both bring offerings to God. Abel offers the best of his flock, while Cain brings some fruits of the soil. God looks with favor on Abel's offering, but not on Cain's. Jealousy consumes Cain, and despite God's warning that sin is crouching at his door, Cain kills his brother in a field. When God asks where Abel is, Cain responds with history's most callous question: "Am I my brother's keeper?" God curses Cain to be a restless wanderer, marking him for protection even in judgment. The question Cain asked still echoes today, challenging how we view our responsibility to others. As humanity multiplies, so does wickedness. Genesis chapter 6 verse 5 reveals that God sees how great human wickedness has become, with every inclination of human hearts being only evil all the time. God grieves that he made humanity and decides to wipe the earth clean with a flood. But one man finds favor in God's eyes. Noah is a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walks faithfully with God. God instructs Noah to build an ark, providing specific dimensions for this massive vessel. Noah obeys despite having no evidence that a flood is coming. For years, he builds while his neighbors mock. When the ark is complete, God brings animals to Noah, 2 of every kind, 7 pairs of clean animals. Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives enter the ark. Then the floodgates of heaven open. Rain falls for 40 days and 40 nights. Water covers even the highest mountains. Every living thing on earth perishes except those in the ark. After the waters recede, Noah sends out a dove that returns with an olive leaf, signaling new life. When they finally exit the ark, Noah builds an altar and offers sacrifices to God. God makes a covenant, promising never again to destroy the earth with a flood. He sets a rainbow in the sky as a sign of this promise, a reminder that spans generations. The narrative then shifts to Abraham, originally called Abram, living in Ur of the Chaldeans. God calls him to leave everything familiar and go to a land God will show him. God promises to make him into a great nation, to bless him, and to make his name great. Through Abraham, all peoples on earth will be blessed. At 75 years old, Abraham obeys, taking his wife Sarah and nephew Lot on a journey of faith. Years pass and the promised son doesn't come. Sarah remains barren and doubt creeps in. She suggests Abraham have a child through her servant Hagar, and Ishmael is born. But God's promise isn't fulfilled through human scheming. When Abraham is 99 and Sarah is 90, God reaffirms his covenant. Sarah laughs at the impossibility, but nothing is too hard for the Lord. Isaac, the child of promise, is born. Then comes the ultimate test. God tells Abraham to sacrifice Isaac on Mount Moriah. Abraham rises early, takes Isaac, and travels 3 days to the mountain. Isaac asks where the lamb for the sacrifice is, and Abraham replies with profound faith. God himself will provide the lamb. Abraham binds Isaac and raises the knife, but an angel stops him. "Now I know that you fear God," the angel declares, "because you have not withheld your son, your only son." Abraham looks up and sees a ram caught in a thicket. God provides, and the place is named "The Lord Will Provide." Isaac's son Jacob becomes the father of 12 sons who form the 12 tribes of Israel. Jacob's favorite son Joseph suffers betrayal by his brothers, who sell him into slavery in Egypt. Through dreams and divine wisdom, Joseph rises to become Pharaoh's right-hand man. When famine strikes, his brothers come to Egypt seeking food, not recognizing Joseph. After testing them, Joseph reveals his identity. What his brothers meant for evil, God meant for good, to accomplish the saving of many lives. The family reunites and Israel settles in Egypt. Genesis closes with Jacob blessing his sons and Joseph's death. But the story doesn't end. This book of beginnings sets everything in motion. It establishes God as creator, humanity as image bearers, sin as our inherited condition, and faith as our required response. Every theme that develops throughout Scripture finds its roots here. Creation and fall, judgment and mercy, promise and fulfillment, separation and reconciliation. Genesis shows us that God doesn't abandon his creation despite human rebellion. He pursues relationship, makes covenants, and works through flawed people to accomplish his purposes. From a garden to a family to a nation, God is building toward redemption. The beginning recorded in Genesis points forward to new beginnings, new creation, and ultimate restoration.